Uh, Namaste to everybody.
Hi, sir.
Hope you're all able to hear my voice clearly today.
Yes, sir.
I'm so happy to get a response, and it's a very enthusiastic response that I already see. And I'm sure this evening further will be very exciting today. I think with this, I think we'll get started today. This is a very exciting topic that we have today, and it's kind of based on a very interesting initiative and a very exciting initiative that has been started by Dr. Indumathi Rao ji, which she'll be, of course, talking about in a short while from now. And I think we are also going to be listening from our children at the field also. So, I think we are going to be here for understanding a very fruitful and productive environment and learning about today's topic, which I'll be introducing very shortly. And along with that, also it's my privilege to also introduce you to our speaker today, Dr. Indumathi Rao ji. So I'll just share my presentation, do the introductions, and after that, post which Dr. Indumathi Rao ji will be taking you through a journey of this initiative of multi-utility learning stations and how effective and productive it is becoming for the children, especially with limited access to resources and in the remote areas. So let's get started with this initiative. I'll just be sharing my presentation. And please confirm if you are able to view this presentation once I start it off. Yeah, kindly confirm if you're able to view the presentation, children.
Yeah, yeah, we are seeing.
You're seeing, wonderful. Okay. So the today's presentation is actually it's a series in our initiative named V.E.D.A Talks. V.E.D.A actually stands for Virtual Talks on Education and Development. And this is an initiative that was started along with Inclusion Bharat website or the IREC website portal initiative. IREC is basically the inclusive resource, basically initiative on the inclusive education. And basically, it's an international resource center on inclusive education and CBR. This was started by CBR Network Bangalore in partnership with Amazon India in the month of February. And since then, we have had several V.E.D.A talks and workshops as well for parents and educators from distinguished guests across the globe. And all of the previous and past topics are available on our website, inclusionbharat.org. So this is the sixth talk and continuing our tradition. So with continuing this thing, I'll be introducing our esteemed guest and speaker, Madam Dr. Indumathi Rao ji. So today's topic is, of course, on the multi-utility learning stations for inclusive education and how it is being effectively being implemented at the site. And the speaker here will be Dr. Indumathi Rao ji, who's also the regional advisor for CBR network. Giving an introduction to Dr. Indumathi Rao ji is very tough. I mean, it's like you cannot box her into one particular aspect and say that she works on it. But I know many of us know her. I think we all know about her. But for the sake of introduction, and she's been a doyen. She's a doyen in this in this field of inclusive education, CBR-based practices for several years. I think it's almost 45 years she's been in this field, working in various capacities across various organizations. Her mainstay has been that she's I think I would place her as a teacher, a mentor, a guide, friend, and someone who's available for anything at any point of time to her. She's been associated with several organizations. She talks to parents, educators. She's in touch with resource personals on the ground, and a very enthusiastic technologist. And she works across the globe, across many people in this. She's a very passionate advocate of inclusion practices, inclusive education practices, And she works at various levels, including policy matter formulation, helping them to provide consultations across the board with the governments, with the local bodies, with non-profit organizations, and other organizations working in this area of inclusion, and also has a lot of play to implement these policy matters and ideas uh, on the ground as well. And she has been doing this for almost 45 years and plus, I think. Uh,
हाँ तो फिर सुनने दो प्लीज
I I would uh, I would request all of you to please mute your microphone while we are speaking, please. ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ನಾವು ಅವ್ರ ಮೈಕ್ರೋಫೋನ್ ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. And another thing is she pioneers in the usage of technology in the field of inclusion and inclusive education, and that's a passionate area. And she's aware of several technologies that uh, uh, are available in this, both in this area of propagating the inclusion, as well as the assistive technologies that can be used effectively for various usage in disabilities as well as in the inclusive education. We'll take a look at some of them a little later. Her associate, she is, of course, a founder and regional coordinator of CBR Network, which was started in 1993, and primarily works in South Asian countries. She's also with CBR, as CBR, she has a membership with Rehabilitation International, and was also given the UN Special Consultative status in 2005. Her primary focus includes working on inclusive development for all those who are at the most disadvantaged, especially due to disabilities or aging and poverty or another or socio-economic criteria as well. And she has been advocating inclusive education and CBR practices through the IREC initiative that was started earlier this year. Formally, on her education background, she is a graduate of the Bangalore University in Science and did her post-graduation in Manchester University in the United Kingdom in special needs, especially in that. And also, she is a doctoral holder, accredited holder, and in the Portage Early Childhood Care and Development in South Asia. She has also in the past been a founder director, much before she started these initiatives on CBR. She has also been a founder director of the organizations like Nivedita Mano Siksha Vikas Kendra and Seva in Action in an earlier part of the her journey. Her current, she's on chair and members on several initiatives by the government and the non-profit organizations, several organizations. I mean, there's just a few of her initiatives and where she's paneled. She's a chairperson of GPDD, that is a Global Partnership of Development, Disability Development, initiated by the World Bank Trust Fund. She's also the chairperson of the National Bal Bhavan of New Delhi. She's part of the Central Advisory Board of Education. She has been a chairperson of the Committee of Inclusion Education in Karnataka, which also recently submitted a positional paper on implementing inclusive education in the state of Karnataka. She's been a visitor in Tezpur Central University in Assam, a member of National Commission for Persons with Disabilities, Standing Committee on Women's Studies of UGC, and also part of the Advisory Committee on National Commission for the Protection of Children's Rights, and also the Niti Aayog Committee on Disability. She has held several positions in the past, and some of the important ones that she has held, prominent ones she has held, include basically as a member of Bangalore University Syndicate for National Commission of Persons with Disabilities, also part of several positions at the Department of Education in Government of Karnataka, NCRT, Zonal Committee of even the RCI, the Rehabilitation Council of India, and has led several initiatives with the National Commission for Women related to women with disabilities in specific. She's also been an academic advisor for CBR HRD for the Bangalore University. Her passion also lies in writing, and she is a very passionate writer. I mean, she writes a lot of papers, handbooks, and books that are very relevant to the society at large, I would say, and especially related to inclusion and disabilities sector. Some of her primary works that are available online as well as in the printed format include, which is also available in the IREC portal. Please do, if you subscribe to IREC portal, you'll get access to a lot of such resources and handbooks written by her. which include CBR digital resource kits, equity for women with disabilities. Uh, she's also co-authored books like Panchayat to Parliament. Moving away from labels is a very important topic that has been discussed, and she's a propagator of not labeling a child with any disabilities. So, portage is, of course, a major hallmark and work that she has done, and a lot of handbooks for accessibilities uh, guidelines, which also has been being incorporated by the CBSE and board in education in India. She's also worked with ICT. She's written a lot of on ICT, that is usage of information and communication technologies for persons with disabilities. And also there is a course on this at the Swayam platform that is run by the government of India. How digital versions of books by Mr. David Werner, they're also available. She's also, as I said earlier, she's a technologist also by nature, and she has helped develop or has developed several softwares for children with or people with various disability conditions, including vision impairment or hearing impairment. So that which includes softwares like Trinetra, helping the registration of people with persons with disabilities with V.E.D.A or the village disability registers, digital IP, portage early childhood intervention, TALC, and several other initiatives. And one of the major softwares also she has partnered to develop is the MSpark portage app that has been used by parents to provide development and intervention for children with developmental delays. Some of her various, I mean, I can go on, but so prominent, she loves working on the field, I think, and one of her primary works that she's going to be presenting today, I'll not be talking about this now, is the implementing the multi-utility learning stations. Portage, of course, she has been propagating this and training several educators, parents, NGO bodies, with both with CBR as well as through partner networks across India and South Asia through a journey. Odisha Portage has been a major initiative in Karnataka, wherein around 43,000 Anganwadi workers were trained to include children with special needs using the portage again. Some of our other initiatives have been Iranya Garbha, SAB in CBR, Stand India. Actually, Stand India was one of the also an initiative that was from AICT that called for some innovative accessible design from students across India. And also, she works with several self-help groups and mutual help groups for families who have people, some person with disabilities. I just sorry. I think sorry. I think it got disconnected. Please let me know if you're able to see the screen again.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
You can see.
Thank you. She's also a very keen participant of research and HRD related work, which across globe, I would say. Several of them have borne initiatives and a lot of effective implementation with significant outcomes to their particular programs and whatever the stated objectives were. And she's been continuing to work on this. And I think today, I think she'll also be presenting about the multi-utility and what findings and outcomes have been on the multi-utility outcomes too. So finally, I think I would like to welcome Dr. Indumathi Rao ji for the sixth talk on the V.E.D.A series, which has been initiated by CBR Network and initiatives and also partners like from partnership with Amazon and several collaborators like MSpark, the Portage app, Change Inc., Sahyog, and the digital marketing consultant, Sri Tejas Anand ji. So over to Dr. Indumathi Rao ji, and before she starts her presentation, I would request all of you to kindly switch off your microphones unless you're asked you want to speak. I'm sure at the end of the session, you will have an opportunity to interact with Dr. Indumathi Rao ji and ask your questions. You can also keep putting your questions or queries on the chat box. So all those questions that are there on the chat box will be taken up for answers. and we will be doing that at the end of the session. So please feel free to ask any question related to presentations. So over to you, Dr. Indumathi Rao ji.
Yeah. Thank you very much. That is a very kind, comprehensive introduction. So thank you very much for that. I would really like to hear from what our children say about the learning station. I request Nikita and Anita to coordinate and let us hear from children. Nikita, please go ahead.
Well, good evening, ma'am, and good evening to one and all present. Hi, children. It's nice to see Shravya and Yadusudha again. Yeah. Well, firstly, I would like to I would like to thank Indumathi ma'am and my college PS, and also Bhavani ma'am for giving me such a wonderful opportunity to work with this NGO and with these lovely children. Well, thank you, ma'am. Well, firstly, I would like to start by telling what we actually used to do in the NGO. I'll just be giving a gist on it. Okay, so we used to go to the NGO and we generally make the children interact with Alexa so that they can ask all their doubts that they have over this, over their, over their courses and all that. So we would make them interact with Alexa. If they have any difficulty, we would try and help them out with it. So that is the one thing we used to do. And the other thing was we would make them learn through gamification, where they will be basically made to play games on laptops, which is education based, which is mostly based and oriented with the concept that they're currently learning. So this was the second most important thing that we used to do. And of course, not last but not the least, they would be made to play outdoor and indoor games, which will definitely help them in a lot of other good ways. So this is what we used to be doing. And to share my experience, well, initially when we went there, it was a all new thing for us because we had no idea how these children are going to be. And especially for me, a person who's really bad at Kannada, I didn't know how I'm going to handle it. But we went, and the first day, after seeing all these children who were so interested to learn, and they were really welcoming, they really were interested to learn a lot of new things. They used to ask us about stuff. Their interest level, it really motivated us to go and teach them more. And not just that, the children there are really, really smart. Like, it's not like what we think that they are. We might think that, okay, they're in the rural places, they have hardly any idea about what's happening. But no, that's absolutely wrong. They really have a greater and a wider cognitive memory. Like, they're very brave, they're very smart. You tell them something, their grasping power is very good. So these children, all of them, to be frank, they were really good. I mean, of course, there were some of them who found difficulty, maybe because of the COVID time, which they couldn't cooperate well in schools and all of that. So some of them had some difficulties, but ultimately, all the kids were so energetic and eager to learn, and they were really brave and smarter, unlike what we thought they would be. So to go there and teach these children and help them out with such a different way of learning was really fun. And moreover, to say it was like you know the thing was, the children, they were really excellent about it. They really were welcoming. They were open to learn new things. Their interest level, of course, as I said earlier, really motivated us. And the journey was a very smooth flow for us. It was easy for us. It made us to want to do new things for them, motivated us to try out new different stuffs, teach them more than what we actually had to do. In place of making them play 2 games, we used to make them play many more games, and in fact they would come and ask for it. So it was really fun. And so yeah, this is it actually. And my apologies, because I've not really made any speech. I just came from college directly and I'm here in this meeting. So that's all, ma'am. And thank you.
Thank you. Anita, can we ask the heroes of a learning station to share? ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲೂ ಮಾತಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷಲ್ಲೂ ಮಾತಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಯಾವ ಭಾಷೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೂ ಮಾತಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಯಾವ್ದು ಖುಷಿ? ಮತ್ತೆ ಯಾವ್ದೊಂದು
ಇದು ಸುಧಾ ನೀವು ಮಾತಾಡಿ.
ಅಲ್ಲ ಜಗದೀಶ್, ನೀವಿಬ್ರು ಹೇಗಿದೆ ಇದು ಯಾವುದು ನಂದಗೋಕುಲಕ್ಕೆ ಬರ್ತೀರಲ್ಲ, ನಿಮ್ ಹೇಗಿದೆ ಹೇಳಿ?
ನಂದಗೋಕುಲದಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಏನ್ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ? ನಂದಗೋಕುಲದಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವೇನೇನ್ ಕಲ್ತಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಅಂತ ನೀವು ಇವಾಗ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೈನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತಪ್ಪ. ಇದು
Anita is the facilitator for learning station in Nandagokula in near Magadi village, Tangamangala.
ನಂದಗೋಕುಲ ಕಲಿಕಾ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರಗಳು. ನನ್ನ ಹೆಸರು ಯದುಸುಧನ್. ನಾನು 5ನೇ ತರಗತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಓದುತ್ತಿದ್ದು. ನಾನು ನಂದಗೋಕುಲ ಕಲಿಕಾ ಕೇಂದ್ರದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತನಾಡುತ್ತಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ನಂದಗೋಕುಲ ಕಲಿಕಾ ಕೇಂದ್ರ ತುಂಬಾ ನನಗೆ ಇಷ್ಟವಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅದು ಹಂಸನಂದಿನಿ ಅಂತ ಇದ್ರು, ಅವ್ರು ಈಗ ಹೋಗಿ ಅನಿತಾ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್ ಅಂತ ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವ್ರು ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಪಾಠ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಹಾಗೂ ಮೊದ್ಲು ಲಿಖಿತಕ್ಕ, ಚೈತನ್ಯ ಅಕ್ಕ, ಪ್ರೀತಿ ಅಕ್ಕ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇದ್ರು. ಅವರು ಈಗ ಹೋಗಿ ಈಗ ಅನಿತಾ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್, ರುದ್ರಪ್ಪ ಸರ್ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಪಾಠ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಅನಿತಾ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್ ತುಂಬಾ ಪಾಠ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಮತ್ತು ಇಂದುಮತಿ ಮ್ಯಾಮು ಆಗಾಗ ಬಂದು ಶ್ಲೋಕ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಮತ್ತು ಅನಿತಾ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್ ಈಗ ನಂಗೆ ಟೈಪಿಂಗ್ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅದು ನಂಗೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಖುಷಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದೆ. ಮತ್ತು ನನಗಿನ್ನ ಕಲಿಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಆಸೆ ಇದೆ. ಅದು ಏನಪ್ಪಾ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಇದು ನನಗೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಅಲ್ಲದೆ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಸಿಗಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಇಷ್ಟಪಡುತ್ತೇನೆ. ಆದ್ರಿಂದ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಅವರು ಇಷ್ಟವಾಗುತ್ತಾರೆ. ಈಗ ಹೊಸ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆ ಏನಪ್ಪಾ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಎಲ್ಲರನ್ನು ಪಿಕಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊ ಹೋಗಕ್ಕೆ ಕಾರ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಅವ್ರ ಕಾರು ನಮ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಪಿಕಪ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ಗೆ ಬಿಡಿ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಓದಿ ಆಟ ಆಡಿ ಬರ್ದಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಿ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಕರ್ಕೋಗಿ ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ. ಅದು ನಮ್ಗೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಖುಷಿ ಕೊಡುತ್ತೆ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಅಲೆಕ್ಸಾ ಅಂತ ಒಂದ್ ಮ್ಯಾಜಿಕ್ ಬಾಕ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ. ಅದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವ್ ಏನೇ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರು ಅದು ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ. ಇದನ್ನ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಇಂದುಮತಿ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದು. ಮತ್ತೆ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಈಗೂ ನಾವು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ. ಓದ್ಸತಿ ಟೈಪಿಂಗ್ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂದಿದ್ರು ಮಿಸ್ಸು. ಅದಾಗ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಮುಂದಿನ ಸತಿ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂದಿದ್ರು. ಅದು ನಾನು ಸರಿ ಆಯ್ತು ಮಿಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೆ. ಮುಂದಿನ ಸತಿ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ನನಗೆ ಟೈಪಿಂಗ್ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಅದು ನಂಗೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಖುಷಿ ಕೊಡುತ್ತೆ. ಮತ್ತೆ ನಿಖಿತಕ್ಕ, ಚೈತನ್ಯಕ್ಕ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇದ್ರು. ನಿಖಿತಕ್ಕ ತುಂಬಾ ತಮಾಷೆ ಮಾಡೋರು. ನನ್ನ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಸಾಕು ನಕ್ಕವರು. ಅದರಿಂದ ಅವರು ನಂಗೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಇಷ್ಟ ಆದ್ರು. ಮತ್ತೆ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ನಂಗೆ ಇಷ್ಟ ಆದ್ರು. ಅನಿತಾ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್ ಈಗ ನನಗೆ ಹೊಸ ವಿಷಯಗಳು, ಸ್ಟೋರಿ ಬುಕ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಓದಿಸ್ತಾರೆ. ಅದ್ ನಂಗೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಖುಷಿ. ಆದ್ದರಿಂದ ಇದು ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಸಿಗ್ಲಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ. ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು.
ವೆರಿ ಗುಡ್ ಜಗದೀಶ್, ಎಷ್ಟು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀಯ ನೀನು. ನಿನ್ ವಯಸ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ನಂಗೆ ಇಷ್ಟೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾತಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಎಕ್ಸಲೆಂಟ್. ಅನಿತಾ, ಬೇರೆ ಯಾರು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀರಾ?
ಕಾವ್ಯ ಇದ್ದಾರಾ?
ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಮ್ಯಾಮ್.
ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಯಾರು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾರೆ? ಅನಿತಾ.
ಕಾವ್ಯ.
ಹಲೋ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್.
ಮಾತಾಡಮ್ಮ.
ನನ್ನ ಹೆಸರು ಕಾವ್ಯ. ನಾನು 8ನೇ ತರಗತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಓದುತ್ತಿದ್ದೇನೆ.
ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಆನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ? ನಿನ್ನ ನೋಡ್ಬೇಕು ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ. ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಆನ್ ಮಾಡು. ಸ್ವಿಚ್ ಆನ್ ದಿ ವಿಡಿಯೋ.
ಹಲೋ.
ಹಲೋ.
ಇವಾಗ ಫುಲ್ ಫೇಸ್ ತೋರ್ತಮ್ಮ.
ನಾನು ನಂದಗೋಕುಲದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತನಾಡುತ್ತಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ನಾವು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ ಕಲಿಬಹುದು. ಅನಿತಾ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್ ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಪಾಠ ಮಾಡುತ್ತಾರೆ. ನಂದಗೋಕುಲದಲ್ಲಿ 6 ಜನ ಟೀಚರ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವರೆಲ್ಲರೂ ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ ಹೇಳಿಕೊಡುತ್ತಾರೆ. ಪ್ರೀತಿ ಅಕ್ಕ ತುಂಬಾ ಗೇಮ್ಸ್ ಆಡಿಸ್ತಾರೆ. ಚೈತನ್ಯ ಅಕ್ಕ ಸ್ಟೋರೀಸ್ ಬುಕ್ ಓದಿಸ್ತಾರೆ. ನನಗೆ ಸ್ಟೋರೀಸ್ ಬುಕ್ ತುಂಬಾ ಇಷ್ಟ. ಒಂದು ವರ್ಡ್ಗೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಅರ್ಥ ಹೇಳುತ್ತಾರೆ. ನನಗೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಖುಷಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ನಿಖಿತಕ್ಕ ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಮಾತನಾಡುತ್ತಾರೆ. ಅನಿತಕ್ಕ, ಪ್ರಿಯಕ್ಕ, ನಿಖಿತಕ್ಕ, ಚೈತನ್ಯಕ್ಕ ತುಂಬಾ ಇಷ್ಟ ನನಗೆ. ರುದ್ರಪ್ಪ ಸರ್ ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಪೇಪರ್ ಓದಿಸ್ತಾರೆ. ನನಗೆ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಪೇಪರ್ ಓದುವುದೆಂದರೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಇಷ್ಟ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ನನಗೆ ನಂದಗೋಕುಲ ತುಂಬಾ ಇಷ್ಟ. ಇಂದುಮತಿ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್ ಶ್ಲೋಕ ಹೇಳಿಕೊಡುತ್ತಾರೆ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ನನಗೆ ಇಂದುಮತಿ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್ ತುಂಬಾ ಇಷ್ಟವಾಗುತ್ತಾರೆ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ನನಗೆ ನಂದಗೋಕುಲ ತುಂಬಾ ಇಷ್ಟ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ನಾನು ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ನಂದಗೋಕುಲ ಕಲಿಕಾ ಕೇಂದ್ರಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೇನೆ. ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು.
ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಅನಿತಾ, ಇನ್ಯಾರು ಇದಾರ?
ಇಲ್ಲ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್, ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ನನ್ನ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರಗಳು. ನಾನು ಅನಿತಾ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನಂದಗೋಕುಲದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಕಳೆದ 3 ತಿಂಗಳಿಂದ ನಾನು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ನಂದಗೋಕುಲದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕು
ಅನಿತಾ, ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಸ್ವಿಚ್ ಆನ್ ಯುವರ್ ವಿಡಿಯೋ.
ಮ್ಯಾಮ್. ನಂದಗೋಕುಲದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕು.
ಗೋ ಅಹೆಡ್.
ಆ ಕಲಿಕೆ ಅವರು ಹೇಗೆ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ರೆಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ನಾವು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಜನರಲ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂತೀವಿ ಅಲೆಕ್ಸಾ ಜೊತೆ ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ. ಅವ್ರು ಯಾವ್ದು ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕಂಫರ್ಟಬಲ್ ಅದ್ರೊಳಗೆ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ರೆಡಿ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಅವರೇ ಒಂದು ಕೇಳೋ ತರ ರೆಡಿ ಆಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಇವಾಗ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್. ಅವರೇ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಅವರೇ ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸ್ ರೆಡಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಹುಡುಗರಂತೂ ತುಂಬಾ ಫಾರ್ವರ್ಡ್ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟೇ ಮಾಡಿರಲ್ಲ ಆ ತರ ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೇಳೋದೇ ಆಗ್ಲಿ ಕೇಳೋದೇ ಆಗ್ಲಿ ಈ ತರ ಇದೆ. ಇದಕ್ಕೆಲ್ಲ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇದೆಷ್ಟೆಲ್ಲ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಗೋದಕ್ಕೆ ನಂದಗೋಕುಲ ಅನ್ನೋ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆನೇ ಕಾರಣ. ಸೊ ಇವಾಗ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್ ಲ್ಯಾಪ್ಟಾಪ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರೊವೈಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಹಳ್ಳಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಲ್ಯಾಪ್ಟಾಪ್ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ ಅದು ಯಾವ್ದು ಸಿಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಬಟ್ ಈಗ ಹುಡುಗರು ಆನ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಸಹ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಲ್ಲ. ಬಟ್ ಇವಾಗ ಹುಡುಗರು ನೆಟ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸರ್ಚ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಗೇಮ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಆಡೋದು, ಮತ್ತೆ ಸ್ಟೋರೀಸ್ ನ ರೀಡ್ ಮಾಡೋದು, ಅಲೆಕ್ಸಾ ಜೊತೆ ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಲ್ ನನಗೆ ಬಂದಾಗ ಅಲೆಕ್ಸಾ ಜೊತೆ ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡೋದೇ ಗೊತ್ತಿರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಹುಡುಗರಿಂದಾನೇ ನಾನು ಕಲ್ತಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ಬಹುದು. ಅದ್ರೊಳಗೆ ಇಂದುಮತಿ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್ ಅಂತೂ ತುಂಬಾ ಸಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಮಕ್ಳುಗಳಿಗೆ ಏನೇನ್ ಕಲಿಬೇಕು, ಏನು ಹೇಗೆ ಅನ್ನೋದೆಲ್ಲ ಅವರಿಂದಾನೇ ನಾನು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕಲ್ತ್ಕೊಂತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಮಕ್ಳಿಗೂ ತುಂಬಾ ಸಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ.
ನಿಮ್ದು
ರುದ್ರಪ್ಪ
ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ಗ್ರೌಂಡ್
ಸರ್
ಅನಿತಾ, ನಿಮ್
ಹಾ
ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ಗ್ರೌಂಡ್
ಮ್ಯಾಮ್.
ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ.
ಹಾ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್, ನಂದು ಬಂದು MBA ಆಗಿದೆ. ಸೊ ನಾನು ಇವತ್ತು ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡೋದಂದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಸಂಸ್ಕೃತಿನ ಬಿಟ್ಕೊಡ್ಬಾರ್ದು ಅಂತ ಇಂದುಮತಿ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್ ನನಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ನಾನು ಅದನ್ನೇ ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಈಗ ಇಲ್ಲಿರೋ ಮೀಟಿಂಗ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿರೋ ಮೆಂಬರ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಕನ್ನಡ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದರಿಂದ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲೇ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಮ್ಯಾಮ್, ನಂದು MBA ಆಗಿದೆ. MBA ನಲ್ಲಿ HR ಅಂಡ್ ಫಿನಾನ್ಸ್. ಇವಾಗ ನಾನು ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಅಕೌಂಟೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿ ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರೈವೇಟ್ ಕಂಪ್ನಿನಲ್ಲಿ.
ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಅನಿತಾ.
ಓಕೆ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್, ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಮ್ಯಾಮ್.
ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಸ್ ಮಕ್ಳೇ, ತುಂಬಾ ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಸ್. ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀರಾ. ನಾನು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ ಕಲಿಬೇಕು ಮಾತಾಡೋದು ಹೇಗೆ ಅಂತ. ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀರಾ.
ಓಕೆ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್, ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಮ್ಯಾಮ್. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಸ್ ಫಾರ್ ಆಪರ್ಚುನಿಟಿ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್.
Thank you.
ಓಕೆ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್, ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು.
I welcome all of you to the multi-utility learning station. I just want to take you to some of the important policies in our country. And the recent one is being the National Education Policy 2020. And if you look at NEP in chapter 6 and chapter 1, the focus is very much on inclusive education, both during early childhood as well as at the elementary, and it goes up to university level. When we look at inclusive education, we have to really look at what exactly it is all about. Who is going to really benefit from inclusive education? If we look at some of the key elements, I would also mention here the SDG goal, Sustainable Development Goal 4, which talks about quality in education. So now all countries, including India, has reached a stage where we are asking the question whether it is just enough sending children to school, children attending schools, passing out exams. No, because now in the whole world there are questions about the quality of learning, quality of education. So some of the concerns, not only for India, but for most of the countries, like what exactly it is a quality change people when we look at, say, education. Education of all, it includes, say, education of children with disabilities. Having said this, very important for us to understand what kind of support system is required in the existing school system. Those who are present here are already working in the field of disability and in the field of education. And I feel there is really no need for me to elaborate the appalling conditions we have in rural areas for better opportunities for children to learn. I'm not saying it is only rural areas, it includes even urban areas. So, what exactly is the opportunities for children to learn? Is it depends largely on the school and the quality of support system that is available in school. In spite of all the efforts by the government and the school teachers that is being made both in government and private schools, when we look at the children and their levels, by looking at some of the national level research studies by agencies like Prasham and also the government data collection on the learning outcomes, we have a lot to worry about because a large number of children are not learning at the class appropriate level. So this is not a small issue. It is a very say important issue. And when we look at from the development angle, if you look at children, in spite of having the chronological age of 8 years or 10 years, and when we look at their development, we see a huge idiosyncratic development or gaps in the development. That arises so much because of the environmental factors rather than factors that is there biologically within the child. So when we really look at some of these issues, it is a concern for the government of India, for most of the state governments, and I would also say for UN organizations. And it is not just the India specific, since we work in many countries in South Asia. I am very well aware these problems are global. These are not local problems. Like children are not learning at the class appropriate level. It is a huge global problem. So, see, this on one side we know the problem, but at the other side, what could be the solution, and what could be the solution which is relevant to Indian socio-cultural economic context? See, that is an area where we were discussing for the last 40 years, like what could be something which works in Indian context. When we look at India, we have on one hand huge metros like Bangalore, Bombay, and we have villages like Mangli, Karnwangla. This is the reality across the country. So how do we really come up with some strategies which can work in the remotest of the villages where more than 80% of population they live according to 2011 census, and that pattern has not been changed. Though there is urbanization of the rural areas, but we still have in India majority of children they live in rural areas, not in Bangalore, Bombay, Calcutta. So with that background, I would like to now talk about what are the learning stations. Before I show these slides, Bhavani, I want you to enable me to show my some of the PowerPoint and slides. What I want to explain about learning station is not a new concept. Learning station strategy is being used by many countries in Europe, in the United States, in Canada, in Australia. I have visited many learning stations and I have seen how effective it is. The learning stations to support children. What exactly is a learning station? A learning station is an opportunity because each child they learn at their own pace, and each child has a different preference of learning. Not all children learn the same way. Some children like to see, some children like to have hands-on, some children like to do and learn, some children need audio input. There are different types of learners. Though we see only one teacher and teaching in the same way for all children, different children receive it in different ways. That is also one of the reasons for the gaps in learning. So, how do we really come out with differentiated support system in schools for children who learn in different ways? So, this diversity is something very key which has been taken into account in learning station, where children learn following their preferred style of learning. So that is what we see in the Western countries, where children learn a lot using different approaches on their own, at their own pace. On their own, at their own pace. This is something which is very, very important for us to understand. This is the only way children learn. So it has to be on their own and at their own pace, with an adult facilitating, not guiding them, but slowly engineering in such a way that the child ideas aligns with the goals and the goals of the curriculum. So, having seen the learning stations in many countries, both as the chairperson for the Global Partnership for Disability and Development, and also in my own exposure working in different countries, I have been thinking about developing a learning station in India for the last 20 years. So, it is not a new concept. So, we were looking at different ways of developing learning station, and NEP had came as a very big support to learning station, because NEP talks about giving this support to schools. So they talk about school complex and giving support so that the children can learn in their preferred way. So each child has the right to learn in a preferred way, with the support can be given in a school complex for a cluster of schools. So before we are looking at scaling up in the entire country, we wanted to develop a model and see how it works in Indian village. And having, say, worked with children with disabilities for the last 40 years, so we were very, very keen how to develop a learning station which is inclusive, which includes all children, including children with disabilities, which takes into the learning preferences or style of all children, including the preferred, say, styles of children with disabilities, with the support system they need, whether a child with a hearing loss, or a child with intellectual disability or autism, or a child with seeing difficulty. We wanted to see how this could be included into learning station. It was quite a lot challenge for us, and we looked at a model which is also sustainable, which can be replicated in other parts of the country easily. So the learning station, what we have developed, is basically it looks at the three important aspects. One is the schools are already working a lot with the best of their ability with the given resources that we see in most of the government schools in the villages. Of course, I don't see so much of private schools, but they are doing their best. But they need a supportive hand how we can really go about it. So, learning station, the model what has been being developed is something which was developed not just for Madhuri, not just for Karlamangala. We had kept in mind this model will be replicated across the country. So I'm very happy to share with you. Now UNICEF and Oracle, they want to replicate learning stations, 10 more learning stations in Karnataka and 10 more learning stations in Telangana. And learning stations was included by NCRT, New Delhi, and the Ministry of Human Resources, Ministry of Education, where the sessions for learning station was given when we were training the state education department in Chhattisgarh. So the Nagaland, they are very keen on setting up a learning station, and we are promoting the learning stations in Nagaland. So, so why people are looking at learning station? Because it is so easy to do it and it is so effective. So what is very easy? I would say that the easy part is it is not going to work against or in opposition to the system. Learning station is just one part of the existing education system that happens in schools. So that is one of the reasons learning stations are always organized either before school hours or after school hours or during weekends, because we don't want a child to skip even a single class in the regular classroom, because this is not something which is a competition or which works in a parallel way to the existing schools. So we want children to attend all sessions in the school, come either on the weekends or during say any time, say before or after school hours, or sometimes they want to add learning station period as a part of the school curriculum. It is up to the different departments in the government. But on the whole, we want to make sure that they learn whatever they learn is in complementary to what happens in the regular schools. So, having said this, I want to explain what are the key components of learning station. For that, I just want to show a PowerPoint. If we can look, Bhavani, ನನಗೆ PowerPoint ತೋರ್ಸಕ್ಕಾಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಒಂದು ಓಪನ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕಾಗತ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರದ್ದು ಪವರ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ನಂದು ಓಪನ್ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಒನ್ ಮಾಡೋದಾಯ್ತು ಇವರು ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಕಳ್ಸಿದ್ರು ಅಮೆಝಾನ್. ಸೊ ಐ ವಿಲ್ when Bhavani opens the PowerPoint, I would like to share, like I said, a learning station is supportive to the existing schools. So it doesn't work opposing or contradicting or say parallel to the existing schools. So it is supporting the existing schools. That is one key aspect. The second key aspect is the learning station revolves around the curriculum. So the curriculum could be the state curriculum. In Karnataka, we have SCRT, DSCRT. In many states, you have your own SCRTs. So we work with the curriculum. Or if it is CBSE, we work with the CBSE NCRT curriculum. In fact, NCRT curriculum is the main fabric we have in the country. With our policy on the curriculum, which is still quite prescriptive, where the curriculum is decided by NCRT, and then the SC state level comes out with the state version of the curriculum. But by and large, we see commonality in the curriculum across the country. So the entire learning station revolves around the curriculum. The school also revolves around the curriculum. So what is the difference between the school and the classroom and the learning station? The main difference is in learning station, children, they don't, they come there only to play. So the entire curriculum, we look at gamification. So the gamification of curriculum is the central nervous system of the learning station, where children, they learn everything that is required in curriculum and curriculum plus. What plus is, I will explain if you are interested in more academic aspects. So it is very important that curriculum, the gamification takes place in the curriculum in learning station, where the children are they pick up the learning outcomes based on the curriculum, and the learning outcomes are linked with online games. It could be online games using the existing games, which we are using a lot of existing games. It is available on previous Kids, 1, 2, 3. There are many learning websites. So we use all those learning games that is available and link with the curriculum. So they play and they enjoy. When they are playing, that is enhancing their knowledge. And then we link it with something called Alexa. Alexa, you must be knowing, seeing Amitabh Bachchan advertisements about Alexa switching off the radio, switching off the television, switching on the fan. But Alexa is a very important education tool, especially for children, for all children, especially for children with disability. We come to educate on this multisensory approach. Those who have worked with children with disabilities, we all know that the children learn better when there is a multisensory input. So gamification does exactly that. So it is a multisensory input that is given in learning station. So the learning outcomes is linked with learning games, and Alexa is being introduced to make sure that children they think about what is being taught in school. They make a list of questions, and the questions they ask Alexa. Alexa is like a grandmother who doesn't get bored, and children can ask any number of times. It doesn't say, "Ayo, sunne ro, shut up, don't bother me." So it can give answers any number of times. If they ask to repeat, Alexa can repeat. So they can ask any question to Alexa and get answers. So we encourage children after getting listing out the questions by listening to your own school teachers and parents through the week. List out all questions and ask Alexa. But whatever ask Alexa says, just don't believe that. Okay, verify that on internet and ask the Google whether the Alexa, whatever answer Alexa is given, is correct or not. So, as you all know, learning takes place with the process of acquisition, repetition, and consolidation. This process is very, very important for children. So, after asking in the Google, then we say you also write down the question and the answer, and you can find out from your teacher whether the answer given by Google and Alexa is correct or not. So, they are really taking the learning that takes place in the learning station to the class, and they bring what is being taught in the class to the learning station. This link is established in learning station. So why it is important, I will look into that little later. See, why children enjoy is because it's very simple. They all enjoy playing. It is the games which they like most. They love to play games, and whatever they do in learning station, the entire gamification takes place, even if it is a reading activity, even if they're reading newspaper, if it is say doing anything with the hands-on experience, it is the gamification which plays a very important role, which children enjoy a lot. And children, they write down everything what they have learned and they move on. And also in learning station, each child has a capacity which they have to nurture and also help other children to also move on the same curve. So I will now explain on how it is going to help children with disabilities. With children with disabilities, Jagdish ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ mute ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಬಿಡಿ ನಿಮ್ದು. Those who have worked with children with disabilities, you all know that how important it is to give the multi-sensory learning experience to children to all disabilities stated in V.E.D.A Act, all the 21. Without exception, multi-sensory approach in learning is required by all children, with or without disability. But for children with disabilities without multi-sensory experience, they are not going to learn. They are going to really lose a lot out when there is, say, when it is deprived, when a child is not able to learn. So we are looking at children. ಏನೋ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಇದೆಯಾ ನಿತೀಶ? Okay. They are exploring. So this is the child. No? That is why learning stations are very interesting. So they are exploring. They can't pinpoint. So they want to find out which button works. So it is so important to see that this multisensory experience in learning station helps a lot. And when we are looking at the learning outcomes, we are amazed to see that the learning outcomes that a school would take about a year, children have learned within 3 to 4 months in learning station. Why? It is because of gamification. It is very simple. It is gamification is one, and there is other tools which are very important, which those who have worked with children with special needs, you know the importance of task analysis, importance of prompting, and importance of shaping that plays a very important role in learning. All that has been embedded into the learning station, and we have trained the facilitators to know some of these important skills. We may not talk about task analysis and prompting, we would not use the jargons, but we have trained them on how to make something simple, easy to achieve. If a task is too difficult, how to break that into small steps. How to give a game, if it is too difficult, just give one step at a time. This is something which is a global technology that is used everywhere. So we have given that, and in learning station, very deliberately, consciously, we don't take teachers to work in learning station because we need people who are also well versed with technology. So the both Anita and we are volunteers from PS Institute of Technology. They are all engineers, so they are very well versed with technology and they like children. And we are here as educationists to link the curriculum with learning stations, and it works wonders. So this is the brief um, explanation about why learning station. Now I will explain how to establish learning stations. So when it comes to the integrity of learning station, we can train teachers or the school management in setting up learning station. So first I will talk about how much it is going to cost, because that is a very important issue. Learning station comes with different models. The model which we have developed in Magadi, for every 15 children, we have 3 tables. And each table has a computer, and it has an Alexa, it has a tablet. And at 15 children, we can run up to 4 batches to about 60 children per day, because each session does not exceed more than 1 hour 30 minutes. We don't want too much of exposure of computer screen to children for various reasons, which I can answer if there are questions on that. And they are going to work for 1 hour 30 minutes session in the learning station. Then it is free time for them to explore. So what really happens when we establish, we need 3 tables, we need 5 chairs for each table, we need internet. Internet is not available like Wi-Fi in most of the villages. So knowing it very well, we had made arrangements to use the hotspot of our phones, and also dangle which to provide internet. And it is all working very well. It works very well. So maybe 10 years ago, even I would have said, oh, no internet, we can't start. But I know where there is the will, there are many ways. So we are using hotspot and we are using internet, and it works quite well. Once we have these systems established, then most of the games what we have, we don't have so much curriculum-based online gamification of a curriculum or textbooks in India. So we are using a lot from what is available in other countries, where the curriculum, where we are matching the curricular goals with their curricular goals and bringing it, and where we have some specific, we are developing our own gamification cards for children to play with, whether it could be history, whether it could be environmental science. So there are cards that are being developed, and the cards will have the learning outcomes of NCERT or ACERT, and children pick up cards, they choose, but while picking up, we make a very good, say, baseline or the current levels of children, so that they don't pick up a learning outcome which is 45 when they have not climbed the ladder up to 44. So it is all very scientifically planned, but a child chooses the learning outcome, but child doesn't really look at learning outcome. Child chooses the game which is linked with learning outcome, and they play games. They play games on Alexa, they play games on tablet, they play games on computer, and once they do that, then when they go back to after the session, then they sit and they look at various creative activities like writing their own poetry, writing their own stories, and we ask one village headman, one villager who comes and talks about the village, so that all this exposure to internet and technology, the global technology, they should not lose respect for their own parents and for their own village. That is something very, very important. So we invite these talks by the village elderly people who talk about their games they play, and we have a lot of games which is indigenous games that is there in learning station. They talk about the importance of that village, the stories what they have heard. They talk about everything that they have experienced, so that children, they develop respect for the local village, local wisdom, local experiences while getting connected with the global world. Internet does open to the global world, but if we lose our tracks, if we lose our roots, then just getting globally connected will not help. It will end up in frustration, children leaving as soon as they finish 10th standard to Bangalore or Bombay. We don't want that to happen. We want children who come to learning station to develop a social responsibility and contribute to the development of their own village community without getting disintegrated from the families and the community. So we have taken all this care into the learning station. So we have a training program which we recently developed for AICTE, a 6 months training program for teachers online on SWAYAM portal on learning station. People can also join, and you are most welcome to ask questions. So I would like to really find out whether I can present any of my one. I asked Pavani to take me through the slides on the Gokula learning station. Pavani, can you show? Pavani, ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ?
ವಿನೀತ್ ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ.
ವಿನೀತ್ ಇದ್ದಾರಾ? ಓಕೆ, ವಿನೀತ್ ಒಂದು ಇದನ್ನ ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಡಿ. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಪವರ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ನಾವು ಹಾಕಿದ್ದು. You are not able to hear me? Is it the same problem with everyone, or Radhika ji is saying she can't hear? Okay.
We can hear.
Okay. So here we talk about the Alexa-based activities. So children, they ask Alexa, Alexa, tell me how far is the moon from Earth? We are encouraging children to ask any question under the sky. So they come and ask Alexa, and they can ask any question, and they can ask any number of times, and Alexa gives the answer, and they make a note of it in their notebook. Then they also verify the answer with the asking the same question with the Google. What is the answer? See, why we are doing this is we are going through the process of learning, acquisition and repetition for consolidation. So they do it, and they go, and then they go and ask the teacher. So the teacher, they will also connect the teacher with the internet and what is that the children are learning, and they verify that, so that they should. We want them to get seamless say connection from the internet to the teacher to the local people, so that it is all very cohesive and complementary, rather feeling, oh, my teacher doesn't know anything or my parents know nothing. It is not, that is not the approach of learning station. So we take care about that. Next one. So let us ask Google if answer given by Alexa correct. So you know that sometimes when Google makes us, Alexa is based on Google. It makes a search and gives answer. Sometimes the answer could be relevant, sometimes it could not be relevant. So it's very important for children to know that whatever the Alexa or Google says, not to take it as it is. It's very important to keep on verifying that inquiring mind, that scientific mind is very important. So we ask them, okay, find out from the Google. Next slide, please. So then they go with say, oh, whether this both answers is correct. Okay, then they make a note of it, and this technology in education, you are all, you know that it leads to discrimination and generalization and consolidation of learning. See, all this we are not going to. I have not explained to children out of question. Even I have not explained to our facilitators because it's not required. Only the process is important. Like if we use more of theoretical jargons, then they get stuck there. And if we say how, give us do something which applies the generation activity in school, they will have no idea. So it is very important for the facilitator to come with hands-on ideas on generalization. But this is the process which we did. Okay, let them check with the Google. Next one, please. So they are looking at anything. So now they are teaching Alexa Kannada. So Alexa, can you speak Kannada? Whenever I talk to children, they say, "Ayo, Papa, Alexa Kannada ne barala." So this is something which they are trying to learn English, and I'm amazed to see that they are able to read, write, and speak English within 3 months. That is an amazing experience which we are seeing in learning station. Tell me a story, Alexa. Can you sing? Alexa, teach me English. Can you multiply? See, Alexa and Amazon is also quite surprised with the use of Alexa, which CBR network has explored in learning station using exploring Alexa. Of course, Alexa is being explored in many countries for teaching children with special needs. But the way it is being supported in the learning station in Nandagopala is a very unique one. That is why we have come out with a very comprehensive handbook on learning station. Next one. So then they are tired, they come and drink water, and we don't want too much of a computer screen. Then there are outdoor activities. They play very rural indigenous games to football. So everything is provided there. So they play that and they explore the nature. And once they do that, what really happens is they are relaxed. So with great difficulty they go back home. They don't want to go back home. So that is what I see. And they do all sorts of things. From playing carom to playing football to playing Galiburi Mane, Tavade. So all these games, indigenous games, we are introducing. So just watch this video. Is it possible to switch on that video? We are really missing Hamsa. Hamsa was the first facilitator. She is preparing for her Karnataka Administrative Service. So she's busy now. So once they have that, these notebooks or something which they bring, they think about questions. Anything. We said no question is a silly question. Whatever comes to your mind, write it down and come and ask Alexa. So come and ask Google. Come and ask teacher. Come and ask. We call teachers facilitator, and you should see the joy of learning in learning station. So they are really amazed to see how knowledgeable internet is. So this is whenever I see their faces. We had the CEO of Ramnagar district, the Secretary of Women and Child Development Department, and they were sitting for hours. So these children, they did not even notice that they were there. That is the kind of absorption, and that is the kind of joyful learning what we see in learning stations. So they are really amazed to see the immense knowledge internet has. So they can't believe that it knows so much. Yes, next one. So then they do consolidation, sitting with the professor is there, where they look at all that they have learned, and then they also bring back what they need to learn more. So though they are learning whatever they are supposed to learn, what in school based on NCRT or SCRT, the way they learn is different in learning station because it is tailor-made. It respects the individual learning styles, and children with disabilities, they benefit immensely because this is exactly what they need. So for the implementation of NEP, we find the learning stations must be made mandatory in all schools, and we are happy Nagaland government, Jharkhand, Bihar, and also Telangana. UNICEF is playing a very important role. Thanks to UNICEF. So by setting up learning stations, we want to see, and Government of Karnataka will be training about 25,000 school teachers, where learning station is an integral part of the curriculum. So we want to really see a large number of learning stations for a cluster of schools. It could be for about 5 schools or 6 schools. And we are also looking at learning stations for Anganwadis. The proposal is being seriously concerned, and where the Anganwadis, we don't want too much exposure for computer and internet, but we'll be using a lot of Alexa and other multisensory activities. So those are Montessorians. You know the importance of having the Montessori materials. So learning station will support it, and especially to parents to understand the 0 to 3 child development, and to help the child from 3 to 8 years for effective inclusion into elementary education. I would like to stop here, and can you move to the next slide, and we can close that. So they, it is with great difficulty we send children back home because they are not very keen going back. So they enjoy so much. This is what the child is. If learning is joyful, they don't want to go back home. If learning is painful, they come to school crying and they go back to home with a headache. But here we can see from the faces it is glowing with million lights in their eyes. So this twinkle in their eyes is what we are aiming at. But while we are doing it, we are developing them into very responsible citizens who will respect their own community and who are connected with the global knowledge. Dhanyavad. Thank you very much. Now the floor is open for questions. So people can ask me questions. I should be very happy to answer. Who wants to take the first question? For the government, I have said that we, instead of say 3 systems at one table, we have asked, we have compromised with 3 tables. Will have one will have Alexa, the other table will have a tablet, the third will have a laptop. It is to cut down the cost. So this is a model that is given to the government. You are most welcome to ask any question.
Ma'am, if they have a TV set, can they use a TV set to do the same learning?
TV set is there, but the problem with TV set is the monitoring is through a remote.
Okay.
Here we want them to learn language, and that happens very well when they use a keyboard and when they use interactive.
Okay. But if there's no way they can use the keyboard, no, there, stuff.
No, TV is good for TV school, no, where it is one way and there's the microphone and interactive.
Yeah.
So here it is like the when they play games, no? When they play games, it is hands-on, no? Because a lot of problem solving. Because the whole definition of intelligence it is problem solving ability. So to enhance their cognitive structures, they need to explore, and that comes only when they use the keyboard and a mouse. So that is something very important.
Sure.
Alexa is more for questions, to ask questions and to record and document it. And Alexa can give answers. And children have, as you know, when they are around 3 years old, they will have 300 questions every day. So, but there's no one to answer them.
Correct.
One says we have no time or shut up. No, that is what a child keeps hearing. We say, shut up, keep quiet. So even when they go to parliament, that's all they do. They just keep quiet. Because we train them. But here, the machines, the technology doesn't get tired. I see them asking the same question. If there are 5 children, they keep asking because they're playing. Because they're children. They want to play. So that is what a child is. So this is, and it doesn't cost much, especially the tablet is available for about 8,000 to 10,000 rupees, Samsung tablet. And Alexa is very, very cheap. It starts with 4,500 to 6,000, and it's not at all expensive because you can support 60 children. It is not a small number. It's so
bigger resource. Bigger resource.
Yeah, and also we have children with cerebral palsy in the school, and children with hearing difficulties, with low vision, and children with thalassemia. So I'm sharing this, but if you go to learning station, they will not be even think that the child has a disability. In fact, one NGO asked me whether they can come to learning station to create awareness on disability. Then I said, what creating awareness? We should learn from children how to
Yeah,
have disabilities. They don't even think about disability. So one should see, how inclusive the child is. The child is very inclusive. So if we don't do by giving labels and by creating fear, by saying that they are different, you should help them, all that will create barriers. We don't say anything in the learning session. And I'm surprised to see helping each other is there in the blood cell of every child.
No, it's very automatic,
Yes, I'm
particularly gaming and all that, very automatic.
I am also learning a lot because very deliberately, consciously, I said I will not do anything that I did with NGO work for the last 40 years. So I just left it to children, and they are very helpful.
Yeah,
They're very
sure.
very helpful. And when it comes to learning, because I want to stress on SDG Goal 4 because the quality of learning. So what a child learns in 1 year, and we are able to see that learning within 3 months.
Yeah.
If you please watch all the videos that is there on IRIEC website, I'm really surprised to see the fluency in reading English, thanks to our basic engineers, not teachers, but engineer volunteers. Okay, so who have been helping them, they have learned. They know to speak, to write English. They're so confident. And we had this Outlook magazine who came about 3 months ago, and the correspondent of wherever I go, no, I interview and I gather information. But here, children were interviewing her, asking her what made her to get into this job and how it is like. So she said, I finished giving interviews to all these children. So they were so confident, and opening up to internet, to the global knowledge, has many advantages and disadvantages. Where we want to control is to prevent disadvantages, so that we don't give access to children without facilitator.
Yeah.
As you know, it can lead to dangerous things on internet.
Yeah, sure.
So we don't allow that. So a facilitator is always there. It's always linked, but it is joyful. So sometimes I wonder if the classrooms are converted into learning stations, one can imagine the quality of learning going up in leaps and bounds. So for that, we have to do a capacity building of teachers. I'm sure teachers are very competent and provide some material, basic material, which the panchayats can do it. We had many senior officers from the government and from the universities. So every time they come there, they ask me, ma'am, why you didn't start this when I was a little boy? So that the quality of learning is going to be very, very high for these children. They are going to be very, very competent. So,
no, maybe I think we should take one particular entire block. The next step would be, I don't know whether to find some donor to support us. With the government, it's only a lot of bureaucracy, so it takes its own time.
I agree.
So, but at least with one block, we should take and try it out. I mean, sort of, it'll work, definitely work. We are aware of it. But the question is, the system has to start allocating the resources for this purpose. Yeah.
UNICEF and Oracle has finalized. We are going to set up 10 learning sessions in Ramnagara, District and Bangalore, and 10 learning stations in Telangana. So we are going
great,
to do that.
That's a great.
So they are funding it. So we are going to do it soon. And Nagaland, we are hoping to give a very big push of setting up 25,000 because the government has decided. So we need to really push this idea because it is truly inclusive. People have difficulty. We thought about learning stations giving children with disabilities in mind. That was my primary focus, as you all know. But all children in rural areas are equally disadvantaged. So we cannot only focus on children with disabilities.
No, we should bring all children. all
Yeah,
children.
it will defeat the very purpose of inclusive education. So
Yeah.
we have made it for all this, and in NEP they talk about SEDG, socially economically disadvantaged groups, and in villages, most of the children, especially in government schools, they belong to SEDG. So that is the reason why we do it. But the learning station is from third standard and above for various reasons. For children below 8 years, it is we are not going to expose them to too much of computer screen because there are many disadvantages. But we'll be using different methods of learning station.
Yeah.
There are many creative activities. Like for example, on August 15th, we wanted them to write on the country. Okay. And we encourage them to write their own poetry, their own stories, and design their own games. We are there with that. We are very soon we may introduce the coding and other activities for children in 8th and above. They will be designing the learning games for children relevant to Karnataka. So we would be looking forward to those activities by our children. They are amazing. Children are amazing because yes.
Yeah, that's not the problem.
Yeah, I have my grandson, so I really need know that they need not go to school to learn. So they go to school for further expansion of their knowledge because they are quite knowledgeable. They're very competent.
Particularly technology today, if there is little bit more, structured approach, a lot can happen. Yeah.
I am very happy to share with you the statutory body called AICTE, All India Council for Technical Education, which oversees all the engineering and technical institutes in India, including IITs. We are in a very big way in the gamification of textbooks. So in the next 5 years, you are going to see a lot of gamification of textbooks. All the printed books, that will be there, but there will be more gamification. Unfortunately, we don't have much of gamification of curriculum because most of the learning games which we are using is the games that is developed by United States because only they have the money to develop such a vast library of materials, and we are happy most of it is available free of cost, which we are using. So, but something related to Kannada, we are really requesting the government to develop more of gamification of Kannada learning. So it is not there.
Maybe we can go back to this Satyeshai team, madam, whether they could help us in Karnataka.
Yes. Yeah, I think we should really look at, especially Indian languages. No, the gamification is so important because see they learn so fast. If there's a gamification, whether it is matras or Vatakshara, Dirgha, reading, they can all do that and they can learn very fast. So we want the gamification of Kannada, Telugu, Tamil, Malayalam. So we need to work on that. So
They have the university and they might, use Karnataka as a base.
Yeah, we should really take our dialogue, Basuraj sir, forward with Satyasai. We should do that.
Maybe I will set up the call, madam, with you, and then we'll see how we can take it forward.
So it is so simple. Say within 1 lakh, you can set up a learning station for a cluster of 5 to 6 schools, reaching out to 300 children, and that is not a small number. It costs less than 550 rupees per child for the initial investment, and we really don't need very well-trained teachers. So we just need people like Anita and our engineering student volunteers to facilitate, and they do it very well because they have better access to technology. They learn very fast, like how to use Alexa, how to use learning games, how to link children. So regarding education, like the experts like us, we are available, linking with the curriculum, learning outcomes, linking with the baselines, all that we do it. So it is very easy to do it, and I request all of you to explore learning stations for a cluster of schools in at the early childhood level or at the elementary level. We have not gone up to high school level. We have stopped at 8th standard because 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, we those learning stations are preferably they should be located in the school itself. So because there's a lot of activities children can do in learning stations. So we high schools generally they will have a good number of children. So they need to set up a learning station in the school, and then we have to really look at facilitating the children with disabilities at the secondary level. So that we have not yet tried. We would be happy trying it out once we finish with the elementary and early childhood.
When you say early childhood, you talk about below 6 years, no, madam, 3 to 6 years kind of thing.
0 to 8 years. Early childhood for NEP is 0 to 8 years.
Okay, okay.
So computer screen is a big no, because they will develop huge visual problems and hearing problems if too much of exposure to computer screen. So we don't want to give that to them. It is going to be very monitored, their say exposure, and they will be working more with multisensory and gamification of Alexa. This is our unique contribution on using Alexa. We are doing it. We are exploring Alexa more as an educational tool rather than switching off a refrigerator and switching on fan. So, Amazon was very happy because it is their brainchild, Alexa.
Yeah.
So we are using Alexa, and also there is something called Siri in phones, which is also very versatile. But there is no Siri standalone. But Alexa, we have a very simple tool which can be used by buying in any shop. So linking with internet.
Sure.
If there are no other questions, I request Bhavani and to come to conclude this session. Please contact me if you want to set up learning stations. And we have now developed a curriculum for Telangana and Karnataka. And the Alexa, the multi-utility learning station, the curriculum is also on Swayam portal of the Ministry of Education. People can also access training very soon. And Diploma in Early Childhood Care Education, which is launched by KSOU, Karnataka State Open University, which also has learning station as an integral part of the curriculum. So, Dhanyavad. Thank you very much for giving a very patient hearing to my
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Bhavani, yeah, please. Vineet, you can wind up. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. I think we are at this. I think we come to the end of this very fascinating journey of implementing the learning station and these outcomes. I'm sure this is not the last that we have heard of it. I'm sure there will be several more experience and knowledge sharing, especially based on the this thing, because this is actually a kind of also I would feel it's a kind of a work in progress, and I'm sure there are a lot of learnings that we're going to be sharing in the future. It's time to say thanks to everybody. It's thanks to Nikita, who shared her experience as a facilitator at the Nanda Gokula Learning Station. Thanks to our young boys and warriors, Jagdish and Kavya. The children who represent the learning station at Kallamangala at Ramnagara district in Karnataka. Anita ji, for your insight into your experience of working with the children. And of course, last but not the least, Dr. Indumathi Rao ji for conceptualizing about this initiative, taking it to fruition, and kind of coming out with this wonderful aspects.
Rudrappa sir, would you like to say something? Because Rudrappa sir is
ನೀವೆಲ್ಲ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರಲ್ಲ ಟೈಮ್ ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ನೀವ್ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಡಿ
Rudrappa sir is really playing a very important role in the learning station. So we are really surprised and amazed and happy to see how well children learn, and they learn with a smile. So when they smile, I am very happy. When they learn, we are all happy. Yeah, Vineet, we can conclude. ಏನಾದ್ರು ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಾ Rudrappa?
ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಮೇಡಮ್
So this will be recorded and the video will be available on IRIEC website. So please contact us if you wish to start learning station. Thank you very much. Vinit, yeah, you can.
Yeah,
close.
I think, yeah, I was coming to the end. Thanks a lot, Dr. Indumathi Rao ji, for conceptualizing this initiative and taking it to implementation and coming out with wonderful outcomes, which is also now in the form of an handbook about how it can be implemented. Of course, I'd like to thank Rudrapa ji also for being part and parcel of this initiative. Thank you, one and all, and I'm sure, as Dr. Indumathi Rao ji said, it will be the video of this session will be available on IREC website, that is inclusionbharat.org. Please visit that website, and the videos will be available there. You can also access the website for all the other resources pertaining to inclusive education and CBR practices. There are several resources on the digital library there now. There is also a placeholder where you for Atmanirbhar Bharat, where you can interact and seek out resources, human resources in the field of inclusion education. So please do visit and support this website for further initiatives.
Thank you.
Thank you, one and all.
Thank you.
Namaskar.